Excellent. Here we are, everybody. Tron just kicked on, so it's time to whoop some ass. Welcome back to the channel. This is going to be episode 3 for the Inquisitors Toll, the Inquisitors side of things. This is going to be kind of almost a catch-up episode. But before I cover too much more ground, I'm going to toss it over to my players, let them do their introductions before we get started. So first off, go ahead, the other Chad.
Hello, I'm the other Chad Smith. I'll be playing Elias Rennick, returning back as an Inquisitor, hot on the trail of our big case, hopefully trying to bring it to an end. Not that I'm ready for the sessions to come to an end, but he needs to close his case, otherwise he's going to catch some more heat, and he doesn't want heat. So he's going to try and go with these intrepid comrades of his, try and see if we can steer them in the right direction together. So I'll leave it up to the next person.
These guys need a babysitter, that's for sure. Although I don't know if Elias is the one to do the job, but he's certainly the one in the position. So next up is Karen.
Hi, I'm Karen Davies. I am playing Ivory. She's a young ex-cop that turned Inquisitor. Kind of trying to find her way with these older guys, and yeah, that's all I'm going to say right now.
Fair enough. All right, Alan, you're up.
All right, I am playing Riker, and I am ready to get back into this character. I'm ready to get back into Chrome City. I mean, if you've watched the session so far, I think you pretty have a good idea of what the kind of character Riker is. So, anyway, just looking forward to it, Jeremy.
Absolutely, man. Me too. I love this setting. And after running this campaign, having these two sides kind of going simultaneously, you guys both doing phenomenal jobs with this this campaign so far. It's just been a lot of fun. I look forward to it every time it starts coming around. Last but certainly not least, my buddy, my brother from another mother, Chad Nick.
Hello there, folks. My name is Chad. If you've seen Jeremy's channel, you've probably recognized his face at one point or another. Other than that, I am playing Hargraves Lux, a just salt of the earth, great human being that you just want to hang out with. The absolute best. I mean, he might make you part with a body part here and there just to advance his career, but you never know. I'm having a lot of fun with this. It's the greatest. It gives me all the warm and fuzzy feels. Thanks, buddy. This is so good.
Fantastic. Yeah. Riker. Not Riker. Hargraves, as well as, well, all of the bunch, actually. They're just a gang of really joyous people. Very warm and friendly. So, if you aren't familiar, this game is a setting that I have established to work within the grander setting of Harbinger, which is from Absolute Tabletop. Definitely go check that out. You can sign up for the playtest because it's still in the playtest. And you should actually absolutely do so. It's kind of a science fantasy thing. So this is the third part. Once again, if you haven't seen the others, I would really stop and go back and watch those others first. And last but not least, this is an adult channel. This is an adult game. These are adults, I have been told. So if bad language, mature topics, things like that tend to offend you, then it really would be a good idea for you to just not watch at all. So do you guys have any questions before we get this rolling? No? Nada? Wunderbar. Okay. If you guys are ready, then here we go. On top of everything else, you had all been put through already in this case. Now the chief had berated you. It was one hell of a checklist you seemed to be working from. But how were Canaeus Ister and this cabal of the Covenant group connected? Why this symbol of a once famous explorer? It was looking like the deeper you dug, the more questions you were unearthing. So, you had just finished up with your business with Canaeus Ister and the tumbler bar. What was left of it, that is. You had gone back out to your unmarked cruiser, back out into the rain once again, deciding that you were going to call it a night, resume in the morning. Just as you were finishing up discussing this, however, there's a rap at the window. When you turn, you see the chief standing outside your window, the collar of his coat turned up against the rain, and the same sour expression that you were used to on his face. And he kind of waits for a second for you to roll the window down. You can hear him over the rain. Yeah, come on, roll the window down. That's enough, wise guys. Standing out here in the rain. Come on, roll the window down. Oh, there you go. All right. Okay, listen up. I know you were all set for a little bit of R&R. And you may or may not deserve it. But I need you to go back to the curator's shop. Yeah, I know. But apparently some hoods or something got in there, and there was a shootout in the apartment next door. Can't help but think it might be related. So, since this is in your case, I want you to go check it out. Then you can call it a night. All right?
Yes, we will do that, of course.
Oh,
At least
good.
we do.
At least one of you is reasonable.
We're
You
just going
kinda-
to add those hours on the end of our reprieve.
Yeah. Put it in your report. And he kind of turns and heads back inside, letting you go about your way. So is the intention to follow this order? To indeed go back to the curator's shop first?
I gotta ask, though. Why? Why we gotta go back there? It's not like they offered us any real answers. And I dealt with more pain than I had to last time. Don't know if I really want to get into a fist fight. You know what I mean? I don't want to do that again if I don't have to.
Well, it should just be units already on the scene. We're just going to inspect what happened. Are you expecting ill will again?
And he like fixes his new arm. All right. I gotta say, old man, you did a good job. I'm impressed with this piece of hardware. So, I mean, if we're gonna go to the shop, sure, we're gonna go to the shop. I got no problem with it. But you're gonna take the lead this time, right? We're not gonna,
I don't know. You want to do things by the books, you do things by the books. I know I'm going to do things my own way, but I don't know. You do what you want to do.
He lights up a cigarette.
I really want to get to my vacation. That's all I'm asking.
I've told you before, your experience is valuable to me. Don't worry about their compensating you. You will be compensated. Are you worried about returning there?
You could say that. Yeah.
We will all be together. I'm always more of us than them.
Well, let's get on with it then. I'm not getting any younger. And Riker swipes his license through the keypad, and it lights up, and it shows his little picture, and the cruiser starts, comes to life, pulls back on the stick, the thrusters let loose, and the car starts to move up. It's a little shaky at first, and then as he just pulls through kind of the residual rain cutting above the storm clouds there a bit.
Yeah, and as Riker takes off with the car, Ivory kind of lets out an involuntary groan as she's pushed back against the seat a bit, and kind of a grimace passes through her face. Otherwise, she's quiet.
So as your cruiser kind of hovers up and kind of breaks the smog level, where it can kind of rise up, and you have a much better visual on the city and traffic and things, you head back towards a better part of town. But before you manage to reach the better part of town, you pull off and head back down into the level of smog again, coming down to a rest amongst the wet concrete and reflected neon lights just outside of the curator's shop. More importantly, you're kind of around the corner from the curator's shop, where this apartment building, this kind of tenant apartment building, backs up right against the back of the curator's shop. So they kind of share a city block. But this is kind of where this call has come from. And there's CCPD kind of all over the place. One of the things that they've kind of established is this tape barrier. It's essentially yellow Astra that's almost like caution tape, except that it has no substance to it. And it's kind of showing the perimeter, and there's people kind of gathered around asking questions of what's going on. A couple of CCPD officers just outside the door kind of milling about, and there's lots of police activity kind of coming in and going from the building. So you kind of land nearby, and you're able to approach the caution taped area if you'd like.
Yeah, I think Hargraves is actually probably one of the first people to get out. He walks up to one of the cops. Doesn't stare at him, but like just looks at what's in front of them, in front of the car. Like if there's carnage, whatever it is, you describe to me what the building looks like as I'm looking over the caution tape, right? And I look to one of the cops.
Looks like they had a bit of a fight in there, huh?
Yeah, Hargraves. There was there was another shootout, and you know the guy you talked about or talked to earlier, the one who had a hole blown in his bathroom ceiling.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody came back and put one right between his eyes. Motherfucker died in his underwear on his couch.
I see. Yeah. Shit. Look, we started this not intending to have innocent people hurt, but shit, man. Look, you mind if I take a look around?
No. Come on in. I mean, that's pretty much what we've been waiting on. It's just you guys to come give it a once over and sign off so we can call it a night.
All right. Hey, what's your name?
Stevens.
What was that?
Stevens.
Stevens.
Yeah. We met before.
That's right, Steve. All right. Look, I'm gonna go inside, but keep a close eye out. If they shot up the place once, they might come back around for a second. So.
Yeah, maybe. It looks like you might have gotten a few of them too. Some of them.
Yeah, no. We got into a little bit of I won't say altercation. I'm gonna just say what it is. We got into a bar brawl. It was rough. It was kind of unnecessary, but you know what? It's worth it.
That was you. Oh, that figures. Yeah. Wow.
I mean, you've seen me, Stevens. You know. I mean, I don't do anything quietly, ever. So,
yeah.
Yeah. No, never mind. You know, it's enough for me talking about this. I'm gonna go in. Hey, could you do me a favor? Get the old man for me. Huh?
Get the old
yeah,
man.
get the old man from
Oh,
the,
yeah. Of course.
I usually go with him, but I would prefer if you could help me out with that.
Yeah, why not? You know, apparently there's a rock star in our midst, so he kind of chuckles to himself and hooks his thumbs in his belt and like heads to the cruiser to help Elias.
Yeah, and as he's doing this, I think Hargraves is gonna like slyly enter into the room, and with his new eye, try to perceive the scene that went down. You know, almost like as if his eye is almost like a camera and could like sort of re-image the scene that happened, if that's possible. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how much tech level you want to give the eye, but there's something like the idea of him being able to see the evidence and then like recreate the scene as it happened, sort of situation.
It might be possible for sure. I think let's get all of you guys in there, and anybody who wants can roll investigation.
Awesome. Okay.
So far, so good. We got 2 20s, 2 different ways here. Chad or Ellen, you guys rolling or no?
Elias isn't proficient, so I'm going to rely on my colleagues.
Okay, excellent.
I'll let them do the investigation of the room.
Fair enough. They apparently have done very, very well. So, as Hargraves is kind of using his newfound hardware, his skull gear, he kind of starts examining this apartment, having worked his way, up a flight of stairs to the second floor and kind of back towards the back of the building where this apartment that had been blasted through was located. And the door is open. It's barely even still on its hinges. So, it's all marked by the police and everything, so it's very easy to find. And you're scanning this apartment, and you can see that the action definitely went down in the living room and kind of in the doorway of the living room to the hall. There's signs of blood all over the place. There's a large pool of it on the couch. It looks like there's kind of a depression in the cushions where you can tell that somebody sat all the time. So it kind of had a, semi-impression of the body, but in the bottom of it, there's kind of pooled, coagulated blood that looks like somebody had been sitting in it for some time. In addition, you can tell that more of these Cabal of the Covenant must have been here because there's powdered Astra person like all over this apartment, especially in the living room here. And there's even a couple of places where it looks like there are some of those cables that are kind of extending from holes in the ceiling and walls where maybe one of these guys had these things that shot out and latched into the power lines. But you also see lots of signs of bullet holes and things of that nature, and none of the bullets came from the guy sitting on the couch or where you assume the guy was sitting on the couch. The angles were all wrong. It just wasn't him. It looks like there was people in a couple of different places in the room that had been firing, exchanging gunfire. In addition, Ivory, you find in the corner, kind of between one of the chairs and the wall, somebody threw up in here. There's vomit on the floor. And judging by whatever investigative abilities you have, it has not congealed as long as that blood has been coagulating. So it definitely looks like the two incidents are separated by a number of hours.
So Riker gets out of the cruiser, reaches into his jacket, pulls out his Omni glass, basically a PDA, flicks it open and infuses with Astra, pulls up this holographic data screen, and he can flip through it, looks at some screenshots that were captured when the PD arrived, looks over, notices the name on the officer's uniform. Stevens. Who called this in?
One of the neighbors.
Which neighbor?
There's two units down the hall on the other side.
Yeah, they still there?
I don't think so. Said something
where
about
are they?
leaving for the night.
You let the witness who called in leave.
Well, most everybody in the building's gone. Most of these units are either empty or the people that were around, they scattered. And nobody wanted to be around after all of this. This happened twice in one night to these people.
He just kind of rubs, puts the Omni glass away.
Hey,
reaches into another pocket, pulls out a flask, takes a bit, looks at Stevens, offers the flask.
He kind of straightens himself up. No, I'm all right. I'm on the job.
Me too. Puts the flask away.
Well, yeah.
Walks past him. Gets on the whisper link. Graves, Ivory, what's it look like in there?
What do you want me to describe it as? It looks like a pile of blood and shit over here. Jesus Christ. Look, I'm not gonna lie to you. If any of this furniture in here was white before, it's fucking burgundy now. Jesus. I don't even know if there's an actual body. There had to have been bodies, right? Good Lord. It's not... All right, look. Just get up here. Also, Ivory said there's something about somebody throwing up over here.
Yeah, somebody's new to this whole violence thing. Couldn't keep their supper up.
I'm really hoping that wasn't one of our cops.
You guys would probably have some kind of machine that could at least run like potential DNA through like the database relatively quickly.
Okay, cool.
I imagine some of you or one of you in the group probably has that kind of gear.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't, but I would probably immediately be like, hey, do any of you have analyzer? Some sort of, you know?
Yeah, I'm on that.
Anybody got a kit? All right, good. Look, we'll get as much evidence as we can up here, but I want to get you up here as soon as possible. Understand? Look, you're not going to like what you see up here, Riker, so just prepare your stomach for it.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm running something down. Using the PDA, he looks up the unit that was 2 over to get a name to the address. Is there anything that comes up?
Address that was on the business card?
No, for the person that called in the disturbance. Trying to get a name of the witness.
Yeah, Abigail Smithers.
All right, and it does it come up as like as an old lady, that kind of thing?
Yes, very much so. Yeah, old woman who lives by herself. She has a lot of calls to the police, but that's pretty much it. That's what her record contains.
All right. Any known relatives?
Yeah, she's actually got a son. Ooh, okay. So she has a son who actually lives in a very, very nice part of town.
All right. So yeah, I snap that address and I send it over to the cruiser, so it's logged in there. Close the PDA. All right. Open the go upstairs. Open the door. Makes that sound. Look at my colleagues in there. You weren't fucking kidding. This place is a goddamn shit show.
Welcome to the carnage, brother.
All right. Well, I have a lead on a potential witness who called this in. Maybe we can get some more IDs on who did this.
I'm gonna look around the room a little longer. It doesn't make sense that they would try to hit the same damn apartment twice in a row. You know what I mean? There's got to be something here that means something to them, and I don't want to leave it again this time. Not like we did.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm also getting that CCPD is taking the corpses over to the morgue. We should get what we need here and then go there.
Do I get any hits or anything from analyzing the vomit?
Yeah, whenever you run the bile through the analyzer, it actually comes up with a hit. It actually belongs to an individual known as Miguel Diaz. He is a suspected pirate, and he was picked up a few years ago for trafficking stolen property, but the charges didn't stick.
Well, this one has a rap sheet.
Yeah.
Hear what a pirate would have been doing here.
Fucking pirate.
Like What do you want to smuggle? What's there to smuggle from here?
Exactly. What are you smuggling out of here? I mean, look, those Astra junkies, they
And speaking of which, as he's doing this, he realizes how much like of that like powdered Astra dust is in the air, and he takes the upper part of his collar and covers his face to like prevent him from having those withdrawal symptoms. Yeah. So, I mean,
it just doesn't make any sense. You know, for them to come here once, they were trying to get in that room, and then they slid through the fucking. They went through the fucking bathroom. There was something there that they were trying to get to. What could they possibly be smuggling out of here?
So can we see the hole in the roof from this living room, or is the hole to this apartment somewhere else?
Yeah, the hole from the curator's apartment into this one was actually in his bathroom as well, only this was in his wall and ceiling, whereas in the curator's apartment, it was in his floor and wall. So, but I mean, this is a pretty small apartment. It's basically got a bathroom, a bedroom, and a living room that like has the kitchen off to one side. So it's not a very large place. And from where you were here earlier, you would know that the majority of this guy's bathroom was completely demolished. Even though it was a small portion of the curator's bathroom, basically just kind of where his tub had been sitting. This guy's basically entire wall is just gone. So, Riker and damn it, Hargraves. I'm gonna get your name before the end of this. I promise.
Yeah, it's all right. Don't worry about it. And everybody forgets my name. They don't remember this. They don't forget this ugly mug, but they definitely don't remember my name. And I like it that way.
You're inconspicuous. You blend in.
Oh, totally.
So the two of you, Riker and Hargraves, when you're looking around, Riker, you notice that the hole in the ceiling, or in the ceiling here, is larger than it was before. There's a few pieces of wood and tile and stuff that are broken that weren't broken before. It definitely looks like someone else had come through this hole since whenever you were here last investigating. Hargraves, your gut digging around in the living room proves to be on point. You actually find a handgun. It looks like it was thrown, tossed, kicked, something under the couch, likely during the scuffle. And this thing, cobbled together is putting it kindly. You're surprised that this thing held together to fire a bullet at all. This is definitely a piece of work. And it doesn't look like anybody thought much of it if they even saw it was here. But your sinking suspicion is that this very well might have been one of your Astra users.
Shit. No wonder. You know, this is the reason why guys like us have to get cybernetic parts. Because of this bullshit right here. I'm betting you, one of those Astra tweakers probably lost a goddamn hand firing this thing off. Look at this thing. It's like a damn grenade with a fucking handle. Shit.
Would we have anything like this in evidence, or know anyone on the streets that could possibly make something like this?
Yeah, I was going to ask. Hargraves has probably been around for a while. He's probably seen a bunch of shit. He's seen Astra tweakers. He's probably been threatened with one of these guns before. Does he have like some sort of knowledge of, outside of knowing kind of that this would be an Astra user's weapon? Would he have any knowledge of like where it would come from? Likely,
possibly. So in Chrome City, there really isn't such a thing as nature. So nature in this setting is actually like streetwise, essentially. So you can roll either history or nature. Those of you who are trying to rack your brains about this one. See if you've got any tidbits of information hidden away. Okay, so apparently Hargraves has not seen one quite like this before. Oh, but looks like maybe Ivory has. Okay, as has Riker, apparently. I'm assuming Elias is doing the same thing, letting his investigators investigate.
Yeah, at this moment, yeah, he's
Okay.
probably chatting up this scene.
Okay, makes sense. Okay, so Riker and Ivory, while you've never seen a pistol exactly like this before, you have definitely come across weapons like this. Ones that are piecemeal. They're put together from junk that people have found and scrapped together, most of the time using some Astra and an ARC tool to kind of get these things to function. And a lot of times the people, luckily, don't usually last much longer than the weapons do, because these weapons are unstable, to say the least. But in particular, both of you recognize that the grip itself on this particular pistol is actually stamped with a partial logo. And both of you recognize this logo. It belongs to the Vangelis Industries company, who were the first known producers of Forgeborn replicants here on Cadian. But the factory, which was located inside the Blackout sector, went belly up long before the barrier was put in place.
And that was Vangelis.
Vangelis.
Vangelis Industries. Okay. Yeah. I tossed the piece over to Ivory. She can look on it. You see what I see?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. That makes me believe that they're probably holed up there in the old factory. Or at least whoever made this piece is in there and can lead us to, well, who may have ever purchased this.
Good idea. Good thought.
All right. Well, do we have what we need from this site?
Yeah. He starts to cough because he realizes that he's been standing around in like Astra dusted room for a while. Yeah, I think we're good. I think we're all right. We can move on. Yeah. We should probably like now.
Before we go, Ivory would like to analyze the blood just to make sure that it is actually the owner of the apartment's blood.
So when you run the blood, it also comes up with a hit. This person, while nothing as extravagant as a pirate, had, a decent sized sheet on him. A couple of things of assault, robbery, that kind of stuff, domestic violence. but the name that comes up matches with this address where you're at currently. So as you are leaving this crime scene for the second time in 24 hours, what's the plan? Where are you guys headed next?
I think there's a sort of consensus between the three in the room, at least before we arrive back at Elias, that we're heading to this factory, yeah, to check on what might be there.
Well, the bodies were taken to the morgue too, so.
There was actually only one body.
Or sorry, a body was taken to the morgue.
Huh.
And then you also have the address, the business card.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think Hargrave's walking out of all that stuff. Looks to the two of you. All right. Here's the thing. We got to make a decision. We got to make a choice. One way or another, we got to do something. I'd like to make sure that we get done with this tonight so we don't have to deal with more bullshit, especially not from Commissioner, dick in his hands. I don't know. Fuck. Like, I want a peaceful night. Just once. Just once I want a peaceful night where I don't have to put a bullet through a damn junkie. Really? Could you just give me that?
You're in the wrong business then.
Yeah, no.
So we got a body on ice.
Yeah.
We got a I don't know if we're gonna find who we're looking for here at this factory. It could just be another lead.
Or we could walk into a giant fucking anthill full of them and get ambushed. That's also possible. I mean, let's face it. How many were there the first time? What, 3? 4? And we barely made it out with our asses. What do you think, little kid? Ivory, I want to hear you. I want to hear what you have to say, little girl. What's up?
The biggest question is, why were they in this apartment? What about this apartment is what they wanted? That just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why this one?
Yeah. Well, then I think you just solved what we need to do first. Then I say we go see the body, because whoever that was, it was important enough to kill. So maybe we should see that.
I agree.
So, once again, you load up in this hover car and lift back up into the smoggy, rainy night and head to just probably one of the dearest places in all of your hearts. CCPD headquarters, where they have the morgue, which surprisingly has had to adopt yet another floor for expansions. And it's exactly the way you would imagine. Brushed chrome steel and white tile everywhere. The the strange question of why in the world would they choose white in a place like this. It just seems like it would have to be cleaned more often than is necessary. But you're led inside, and this body's brought out. It's kind of in this plastic, see-through kind of casing almost. It's got frost and the signs of coolant kind of running throughout it. And they open this up so that you can see this poor sod. And he's middle-aged, maybe a little past. Bad comb-over, paunchy belly. And sure enough, he's got a big red flower right in the center of his forehead. The back of his head is far, far less pretty.
Oh man, get in here.
I'm come to help. I don't know what good it'll do for you, but remember who does the calling around here?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I disturb you? Did I disturb your peace right now?
What do you have for me?
Look, I just want to know something. The guys we're after, they knew you. I know they knew you. And for some reason, you don't want to tell me why they knew you. But I'm going to ask you this. If you don't know that, do you know him? And why they would want him?
I know why many people would want me. I come from a prestigious house. They might think they know who I am due to my lineage. That's the most that I could ascertain. This man, just another corpse.
I don't know this, Doug. What do we know? What can we tell? I want to know why they thought it was important enough to kill him. And if he's just another schlub, why his apartment? What was so important in the building that they had to go through the goddamn roof to get it?
Was this the same hole that was blown in from what we did? Or did they just follow that down?
So essentially the corner of the curator's apartment butted up to the corner of this guy's apartment. So he's essentially a floor below the curator's apartment, and their bathrooms shared a wet wall, essentially. So whenever they blew the hole out of the bottom corner of his bathroom, it came into this guy's bathroom. This was their escape.
Oh, okay. So that makes a lot more sense now. And I think at that point, is there an analyst in the room with us with the body?
Yeah, probably. It may not be like a full-blown coroner, but it's, a coroner's assistant or something.
Coroner's assistant. So at that point, I'm getting frustrated because I feel like every time we go and follow a lead, the whole team is just not getting anything. We seem to run into the roadblocks.
Ah, shit. Hey, kid, what's your name?
Me? You're talking? To me?
Yeah, no, I'm talking to the other living person in the goddamn room. Yes, you.
My name's Thurston.
Thurston.
Doctor
Dr. Thurston. That's wonderful. That makes me feel much, much better about the fact that you're a doctor. Good for you. I'm proud of you. That's excellent. Now I'm going to ask you a quick question.
Condescending of you, but
Hey, we can't all be shiny fucking turds. I'm just saying. Look, here's what I need to ask for you. You've seen the body, right?
he kind of looks at the body. Yes.
When you brought it in, took the clothes, you took everything, you took all of his vestments, whatever you want to call it. I don't give a shit. What did he have anything important on him? Anything out of the ordinary?
I mean, his clothes kind of showed some signs of maybe astra burn. You can see here, and he kind of lifts his arm and kind of shows some strange striations on the skin that look like they're probably astra burns.
God damn. Ah, shit.
Before or after he died, it depends.
That's a good question. Very good question.
I'm pretty sure that it was before. I think somebody used Astra to cause him pain.
Like interrogate him.
So you're saying tortured?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Fuck me. Now we're dealing with fucking torturing terrorist motherfuckers. All right. Fine. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your time, man. I appreciate it. Like I said, though, did he have any of his gear survive? I'd like to look that over if you could.
He came in wearing his underwear.
So no, never mind. Never
much.
mind. Then it's not going to be much to go on. Finally.
Did we have an ID on the body?
On this body here?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, it was he had a small rap sheet, assault.
But who was like? Would we have like known associates? I mean, if he's been in the system before.
Yeah, there might be a few, but none of them that really kind of raise alarms or red flags. They all seem kind of on a similar level, kind of a small time, person from a bad neighborhood who just never got out. Kind of typical collection of crimes.
Okay. Does the body have any identifying markers like weird tattoos or anything like that would give sort of any indication?
Yeah, I'm sure he probably has lots of tattoos. But these aren't, pretty, spend a lot of money on them kind of tattoos. These are, done in prison with a tool that they made.
Mm-hmm. But nothing that would connect them to this so-called cabal.
No, you don't think so. And everything that you guys have seen thus far, the cabal seems like it's relatively new. Like the news on the street is still pretty minimal. A lot of people don't seem to know what this group is. So it kind of gives you the impression that they haven't been around all that long.
But this guy knew something enough that they tortured him before they killed him.
Certainly seems that way. He either knew something, or they thought he had something, or maybe he did have something.
Fuck.
I think at that point, Hargraves especially realizes that this person, I mean, he doesn't know if he's innocent, but the idea of torturing someone to the point of death before giving them a death is like unexcusable in his eyes. And he's like just gritting his teeth in the morgue.
Son of a bitches. I got out of that for a goddamn reason. But somebody better give me some goddamn ash. Somebody better give me some goddamn fade before I lose my shit. Because I'm going to blow a hole through all of them for doing something like this to somebody. It's absolutely unforgivable. You don't do that.
And he takes his hand, like his new arm, and just out of just sheer anger, rams his hand into the white tiled wall, and just tile just shatters everywhere. A large dent in the side of the morgue wall.
I'm sorry. I just shit. I'm sorry. I gotta learn to cool my temper. I need to step outside.
And he sort of heads out toward the rain and toward the outside of the building.
Did you get any kind of leads while you were back at this man's apartment?
Outside of the gun? No.
We got a couple of tips. Ivory found some vomit from a fucking pirate. Another one, the blood came up, obviously from Morgie over here. But, yeah. And then I heard that Riker found an address to another apartment. So we could check out there. Also, it seems like the gun that we found comes from a factory. You ever heard of a factory called what they call it? Vangelis Industries. You ever heard those?
Absolutely.
Oh, you have. All right. Well, then I'm just a dumb fuck that doesn't understand. All right. Fine.
I guess it's up to you, Elias. You want to go see this factory? It's you.
Factory seems like an assumption. I think an address seems like a more solid approach. What is this address for?
Well, we also had that. We also had this, and he pulls out of his pocket the address for the card that was at the bar for a Tindo Nin, right? Like the little symbol on that. We could track that too. But I mean, it's up to you, Elias. I'll follow you, old man. I want you to make the right decision.
I think the newest address would satisfy the commissioner. And then we can finally get our reprieve and then go chase these other fantasies later.
So just to clarify, there is one current address that you guys are kind of uncertain about, which is the one that was on the business card that you got from Kineas Esther at the Tumbler Bar. And the only thing that it has on it is an address, and then this symbol, the symbol that you've come to associate with Tindo Nin. So the plan then is to go and investigate this address.
That would be my vote, but I suggest if we go there that we go prepared for an ambush, because he gave it to us and I don't trust him.
Agreed.
I thought that the address was something associated to what you found in the apartment. Am I mistaken?
We found another address at the crime scene. Right, we found another.
There's only just the one address.
Just the one address.
Yeah. Riker had looked up the address to the witness's apartment.
That's what I'm saying.
Inside the same building.
That was inside the same building. Okay.
Right. Yeah. It was basically just two units across the hall.
So we could go there if we wanted to, but
you could.
Yeah.
That's the one that was the little old lady's apartment. So yeah, if you want to follow that up as well, you could.
Okay.
So I guess you got the address of the son in the ritzy part of town.
Yeah. That's what we were talking about too.
Investigate as well.
Yeah.
And then you have the factory logo. That was
the factory logo that we could do the factory, the son's apartment, the address for Tendo Nin, or the address for the old lady's apartment directly, and backtrack again to the apartment complex.
Right. I think the Tendo Nin is probably our best lead at the moment.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see what we can find there first, and then I think we go straight to the factory. From there, the more information we can get about it, the better. If they're supplying weapons to these assholes, I want to know about it.
Let me see it.
Fair enough. Who's got the weapon?
I do.
All right.
Could I try and do like a tech check on it to see if it looks like their weaponry, or to see if it's just like a hodgepodge? It looked like it was like a hodgepodge, right? So it's not off the press from
no,
like they made it.
No, this is definitely not manufactured. This was something that somebody in the streets put together out of parts, some of which were not actually even weapon parts. And it does actually look similar to the weapons that were collected from the Cabal of the Covenant individuals that you had your shootout with in the curator's bathroom.
They all seem like they have parts from this factory.
One of the other weapons, now that you're kind of thinking back on it, it doesn't have a part that's got like a stamped logo on it, but it definitely seems to be the same material, same color, same kind of texture, same density.
So 2 out of many.
Mm-hmm. But again, like these things are cobbled together from all kinds of different things: car parts, weapon parts, electrical, mechanical parts from all kinds of different things.
Yeah, you would definitely stick by going after an address being a more solid choice as an actual, and that these items do not look as though they were created there at this factory. We can see at another time, but I think more pressingly, we should probably know.
So it sounds like investigating the address that's on the card then, that has the symbol of Tendo Nin on it, is what the plan is. Okay. So once again, you head out, unsure of what you might find whenever you arrive at your next destination. And as the hover vehicle once again lowers down to street level and comes to a park, you might be caught unaware, maybe not, who knows. But fairly brazenly, probably 2-3 feet wide or so, by about 18 inches, is that same symbol, that emblem of Tendo Nen. Although this one is certainly a lot more stylized because it has been graffitied on the side of this building. And there's two things about the location of this building that you would probably note. The first of which is, I'll show the picture of the symbol real quick, just to refresh everybody's memory. The first of which is that directly across the street from this building is a CCPD station, old CCPD station, very much long closed down, no longer running. But you notice that the barrier runs pretty much right through the center of that building. And just as a reminder, the barrier is a wall that's made out of astra that blocks any traffic from coming or going from the blackout sector, which is kind of in the middle of this outage district. You know, there are people who are in the blackout sector. There are people who didn't evacuate when they were supposed to. They found a way in or out, something. But it's quarantined, essentially. There's just too much strangeness that goes on there. Some of you may realize that there was an accident here when the Harbinger first showed up. That a piece of it actually broke off after it collided with a moon. And that splinter actually fell to Cadian and impacted pretty much right dead center in the blackout district, the blackout zone. And people who tried to use Astra in the area started having a lot of really bad problems with it. And that's when they put up the barrier. Now, you can't go through the barrier. Sometimes even coming into contact with it can actually cause harm. Going over it has been known to EMP a lot of mechanical and Astra-powered things. And this barrier passes through these buildings. But the building across the street kind of faces this barrier, and this CCPD station has this Tendo Nen emblem kind of graffitied on the outside wall. When you land, this street, other than the patter of rain, this street is dead quiet.
So just so I have this right, the barrier is going through the old CCPD building. The building with the symbol on it, is it a standalone, or does it have the buildings side by side? Can we get around to the back?
No, you could absolutely get around to the back. This looks like it was maybe like a drugstore kind of place. So is the plan then for Ivory to head around to the back, try to search for other exits, kind of thing?
Yeah, I think she'd start limping around towards the back. I think she'd ask for backup.
Okay.
With that, I look to Riker. Hey, you gonna be okay by yourself? You're not gonna freak out on me again, eh? Things get rough, right? Things gonna be okay?
I got it, Graves. Don't need a babysitter.
Good. Then you can take care of Elias for me. All right? I'm gonna go.
Damn it!
I was gonna rock paper scissors you for it, but you just agreed to it, so no take backs. All right, cool. We're good. I'm gonna see Ivy. Make sure she's safe. You go in. Shit, this is an old building. I don't suggest us just waltzing through the front door, though. That would be dumb.
Yeah, I don't know. This place definitely looks like trapped or don't imagine. There's gotta be some sort of alarm or something.
Hey, old man, what do you think? Before we get in here, I want to get your take on this.
No one's even going to help me out this time.
Absolutely not. And he does. He like looks to you and like gently like helps you out of the vehicle. Like, come on, you son of a bitch. I don't know why I do this for you noble types. I really should just retire and quit.
Oh, well, do you need to rest before we... Are you climbing?
I'm not climbing.
What is your plan here?
I mean, I could climb. Do you want me to climb? I don't really intend to.
What do you see?
A shit show. That's what I see. Ivory's gonna go around back. Ivory and I are gonna go around back. We're gonna check to see if there's any back exits, any ways that they could possibly escape, get out, booby traps, whatever.
Anyway,
I don't advise going to a front. Yeah, I don't advise going to a front door though. I mean, look, I've been through a lot of slums. I've been through a lot of them. I used to know these places like the back of my hand. You don't necessarily go up to a drug door and knock on a drug door and expect for them to be like, "Hi there, Charlie. How are you doing?" You don't do that. They're not like your friendly neighborhood drug dealers. That doesn't happen. Okay? So all I'm saying is there's a decorum about these places. And if that is the piece of shit really means this is a drug house, then I would be careful. All right?
That sounds bad for business.
Yeah, well, you and Riker see what you can find out up front. I'm going to go check out the back with Ivory.
Very well. We'll wait for your call.
Hey, do me a favor, though. Turn the volume up on your hearing aid next time, because that way I can get in touch with you quicker, all right?
What?
You smirky son of a bitch. You know what I'm talking about.
So as Ivory and Hargraves head around the back of the building, what are Riker and Elias getting up to at the front of the building?
Do you see any other alternatives?
I am going to. Do you want me to make an investigation or a perception? As far as like, I'm trying to see if there's any. If this is rigged, the front door or anything.
Yeah, I'd be fine with either one of those.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go with perception since I have double proficiency in that. I've got 18.
So kind of where you're at, maybe leaning against the cruiser or something, you're just kind of looking over this whole place. And I mean, it definitely looks like it's been set up. All of the windows are either, painted black from the inside or have, blankets or something pushed up inside the glass, or like inside the window frame, like up against the glass. Like somebody went through pretty decent lengths to make sure that you couldn't see in any of these windows. But in addition, you actually notice the front door has a couple of bolts through it. This is not a thick, heavy looking door. Probably like an aluminum door at one time. It was glass, maybe some of the glass is cracked, but it's also painted. But like down at the corners and up at the corners, there's some pretty heavy bolts that are all the way through the frame.
Well, this looks new. Well, I mean, at least it doesn't go with this building.
I suppose knocking is out of the question.
Well, by all means. Riker just kind of steps out of the way.
I'll wait on Harbinger. I'll wait for him.
Gets on the whisper light. Graves, Ivory, anything on your end?
We're on it right now. I'll report as soon as we find something.
The two of you have rounded the corner, this kind of seedy back alley. It's got, trash of indiscernible age kind of collected along the sides, as well as strewn about carelessly in the middle. And you find the back door to this place that used to be a pharmacy. The dumpster itself is standing, not that far over. You're guessing that it's probably the dumpster for this place. And this back door looks equally kind of like something's going on. Again, there's bolts kind of in the corner of this door. And it looks in better intact than a lot of the other portions of this building are. You noticed the same thing kind of rounding the building, that the windows were all painted so that you couldn't see in. And if you'd like, both of you can roll me either investigation or perception checks. Okay. So Ivory, you're probably the one that is noticing the bolts on this back door. And Hargraves, it doesn't take you very long being here that you notice something else. You notice on the edge of the dumpster that there is something that isn't just spray paint. It's not somebody's leftover beverage or blood. You know it because it's something you're very familiar with. It looks like the residue from a fade. And there's not just a small amount of it.
Does it look fresh? Or is it something
Fairly
that's been there
fresh.
for a while?
No, it's fairly fresh.
I crouch down near the edge of the dumpster. And for a moment, the residual that's coming off of that massive amount of fade dust is like going into his nostrils, and there's a moment where he thinks, man, oh, wouldn't that be nice right now? Wouldn't that be nice? Just a fucking vacation for my brain. But no, he's not drawn to it. He can't take that life again. But he knows what it is, and he mentions it to Ivory. Looks like somebody was lighting up their brain a little bit. Not just a little bit, a fucking lot. I ain't seen this much for ages. Jesus. But if somebody did this much, they're tweaking nearby. That's for sure. And I think I stand back up, or I'm going to look around the dumpster, or whatever is in this alley, and see if I can follow tracks or see if there's any signs of like entry, either into the door, into the room, whatever it is. I'd like to see if I can follow that chemtrail, basically, of the fade itself.
So as you've kind of drawn Ivory's attention to this, and the two of you are kind of looking around a little, Ivory, you spot some of the same substance on the door frame of the door itself, looking like, so basically where the door hinges on the other side, where it would catch on the outside here. And looking around, you see what looks like a partial boot print that stepped in, where this is run or dripped off of the side of the dumpster, because it's kind of on the lip of the dumpster that you've noticed this, where it's kind of dripped on the ground. There's a partial boot print that looks like it was probably facing the dumpster, and then has turned. It looks like it turned and walked away, but after 2 or 3 steps, it's gone.
At this point, Ivory would actually approach the dumpster, and she would try to open it to see what's inside.
Okay. You open it, and inside is all kinds of paraphernalia for fade usage. There's containers that look like they probably have residue all over them or inside of them, as well as chemistry equipment, stuff like that. This is definitely not your average city dumpster contents.
Fuck. Ivory, why'd you have to open that up? Jesus Christ.
Well, get a grip on yourself.
It's just you don't understand. I got away from that life for a reason. Right? Shit.
And I think at that point he looks at he's trying to avoid the dumpster, trying to avoid that.
Somebody was here and they walked down the alley that way, but after a while it goes cold. But this door,
there's bolts on it, but
fuck. Bolts are fucking useless. Hold on. I'm gonna try something. It might not work, but what the hell?
Just be careful, there's fade all over that door.
Fuck. Yeah, well, sometimes you gotta take a risk. Riker. You there? Yeah. All right. So there's a hell of a lot of fade back here. A lot of residue. Somebody was getting lit like a neon fucking light. Okay. I got a hunch, but I'm going to make some noise and I'm going to try to this arm needs to come into use, I think. Gave me a goddamn key to this place. So
cover me if you if I start to scream. Just saying.
So hearing that, Ivory knows, she just knows what Hargraves is going to do. So she's going to stand back a few paces, and she's got her guns out and ready.
Yeah, I'm gonna basically attempt to riot squad punch a hole through the door, right? And like pry the door off its hinges, pry the door off these bolts if possible. Like whatever I got to do it, I want to try to do it. Just straight up RoboCop.
All right. So go ahead and roll me a strength check. You're muted, brother.
Oh, 16, because I forgot to add the modifier.
Excellent. Okay. So yeah, you kind of rear back with this newfound arm, and just drive your fist basically straight through the door near the handle. Now, it definitely gave you more resistance than you were expecting. It is not just an aluminum, fire exit door or steel coated door. Like this was probably a piece of 1/8 inch, maybe 1/4 inch thick steel on the inside. And you barely managed to actually punch your way through it, and probably only because of this new hardware that you're sporting.
I got us a key, and now the question is, can I fucking pull my arm back out?
Yeah, so you fiddle with the latches and bolts that you can reach on the inside. You can tell that's not all of them. There's probably a latch bolt, at the top that's too far for you to reach in for. But you get all the ones near the handle all undone, and you can definitely feel that the door has some give now.
All right. Yeah, and after a moment, after fiddling with this, all right, round 2. Fucking door's coming down. And he's going to try to just shoulder tackle it he's going to try to shoulder tackle it this time, pull his arm out, and he's going to try to shoulder tackle it with the robotic arm and just drive home this door falling into the room. Oh yeah, cool. So I rolled a 8. So that's going to be a 21 on my strength check to just
Excellent.
blow the door off the hinges.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. You shoulder into it, and again, those little, flimsy latches that are remaining don't hold you back at all. The door flies open, slams against the receiving wall, and you kind of take 3 or 4 steps into the room beyond that, and that's when you realize you just tripped a tripwire. And as you do so, there is kind of almost like a pneumatic sound kind of off to your right. And I need you to make a dexterity saving throw, please.
Fucking shit.
As I'm hearing this, I look over to Elias. Well, so much for subtlety.
I think that's our sign.
So yeah,
You get us
yeah, we're gonna have to rush back there. Yeah, so I guess we're just trying to hoof it back there as quick as we can.
Okay. So yeah, you guys kind of turn from the front and start hustling, trying to make your way along the side of the building to get to the back where the other two are. Meanwhile, just inside the door, whatever it was that has been set off by this tripwire has shot these small little projectiles. They're probably only the size of like a cocktail skewer or so, but they're sharpened metal, and the full damage was 7 points of piercing, but you pass your saving throw, Hargraves, so you're only going to take 3, as these little almost needle-like pieces of metal fly at you, and several of them embed in your body, but the others you managed to avoid.
Put it up as a makeshift shield.
Fucking A. They got the place booby trapped. Be careful with your feet when you walk in. But you're welcome. I'm glad to be the meat shield of this fucking group. God damn.
Did I not say the place would be booby trapped? I'm pretty sure I said that when we got here.
Yeah, shut the fuck up. Just do your job.
Pulls his pulsar from his jacket. All right. Eyes up, Hargraves.
Don't you mean I?
Yeah.
I up? Yeah, get the out of here, son of a bitch.
All right.
Hey, old man,
Get your ass in here.
Oh, yes. Stay behind me. Ivory, you're with hard ass here. Let's go.
You're so nice, Riker. Why don't we work together more often?
And I think Hargraves is going to try to take point and move gingerly into the room from now on, seeing as he is a bull in a china shop and doesn't know how to move his feet.
So the four of you kind of roll in. Those of you who know what you're doing, sweeping corners and slicing the pie and all that good stuff. You start getting the sensation very quickly. So you run into no further booby traps. This place is empty. And it is empty very recently. There are tables set up everywhere in here. This was no doubt a Fade lab. And there's residue and paraphernalia all over the place. It looks like somebody hastily tried to clean up some of it, but it looks like they definitely put their concentration into moving their staff and their stash out of here very quickly. Probably within the last couple of hours.
Shit. That last tweaker. He got his last hit and he fucking ran. Son of a bitch.
From the table, I imagine the lab workers here, so they didn't get high on their own product. They probably had like a little breather mask. So I'll toss one over to Hargraves as I toss another one to Elias and everything. Put these on.
These masks actually don't look completely unfamiliar. These are maybe like a lighter model. They're not quite as serious, but you've seen some heavier versions of this, and you've seen it recently. The Cabal of the Covenant that you have fought wear full-face gas masks. And on the inside of these masks, you see a small stamped logo for the Vangelis Industries Corporation.
Son of a bitch. You see this, motherfucker? Do you see this? Everything was out of that. Everything was out of that damn factory. God damn it. How much can we actually recover from here? He said, God damn. He said they'd be here.
Well, they obviously were here.
Yeah, but shit, I didn't even think about that. They probably heard about the fucking commotion. And when we killed their partner, they probably shut down shop.
Yeah, and if we hadn't had to go back to that apartment and look at the dead guy, we may have caught him.
Yeah. Shit show, that's what this is. All right, well, looks like we do whatever we can to clean up, do whatever we can to gather any evidence from here. And then I say we head straight to the factory. And this once and for all.
I think at that point I'm going to take a look around, see if there's any other minor evidence or anything we can gather prior to like leaving this place, since it's completely deserted.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot left as far as evidence goes. Again, a lot of this was definitely tossed, but it was done very quickly. There's actually a small metal trash can. It's kind of more or less in the middle of the room, and it's filled with burnt, melted, like remains of stuff. It looks like they dumped quite a bit of stuff in here and set it ablaze. But kind of rifling through that, you managed to find a couple of other pieces that, while they don't point to the factory, they kind of tend to strengthen your notion that some of this stuff came from on the other side of the barrier within the blackout sector.
The damn pirate. The smuggler. They're trying to move stuff. I bet you money. I mean, that's just a hunch, but they're trying to move shit. In the blackout district. Look at this.
I'm like, I imagine if it's like papers or if it's product, whatever it is, like if it's actual like pieces or if it's just papers that like show a paper trail or whatever, like Hargraves is like making a motion to show the rest of the group that like, hey, this is what's happening. Like, we need to stop this and put an end to this now. And I don't know how they're doing it because I sure as hell wouldn't do that.
Are we closer now to the barrier than we would be at the factory? Like,
so again, the barrier kind of is across the street from you guys. It seems to bisect the buildings that are kind of directly across from this pharmacy. The factory is well within the blackout sector. It's not the center of it, but it's much closer to the heart of it. So it's probably several miles from where you're at now.
So we'd have to go past the walls, what you're saying?
Correct. Yeah, you'd have to go into the blackout sector to get to it.
Well, looks like all roads lead there. But we got to give Captain something, so... Elias, I guess you're going to have to call this one in.
yes, I believe it is my turn. I'll get the units down here to clean this up and explain to him where it leads, where we'll be going.
If everyone could please make either a history or a tech roll for me. Okay, so it looks like Ivory, for some reason, maybe you're standing near the side of this building or whatever, kind of looking at this barrier as maybe as Elias is headed back to the cruiser to call in the cavalry. And something that you've remembered from somewhere is that there's a metal called ostrum. And this metal, which incidentally, the holding cells, the drunk tank in CCPD stations is typically made out of, suppresses Astra. Astra does not bypass through it. this astra wall, this barrier, if in fact you intend to try to get through it, which is not easy to do. It usually takes like an edict from the Sept, Aldemont, that it would not bypass the metal that these cells are made out of, if in fact there are cells down there, and they are in fact made out of ostrum. But it's a possibility. Incidentally, Riker, once again, for whatever reason, you happen to remember that there's a old code that the CCPD precincts used to use for their back doors. It was kind of like an override security clearance code. So you're fairly certain that you could get in that building if you wanted to, if that code was viable.
I might be able to get us past the barrier going through the old CCPD building. Granted, if old security clearances haven't been cleared out of there.
You know, I bet that's how they're getting in and out, because if that barrier is going across that drunk tank, it ain't a barrier.
All right, well, if we cross that barrier, I don't know. Might not be coming back after this.
I think at that point, Hargraves has stepped out of the building. There's just, it's raining. The neon of the other buildings around are all shining around all of us. At that point, maybe even the blue and reds of the cop cars are starting to show up. And he looks to you, Riker. He says, "Look, I lived a good, long life. I have. I'm an old salt who's seen a lot of shit. And quite honestly, if I go out in the Blackout District, I'll be okay with that. Maybe it'd be nice to actually black out for once without fate."
Riker standing there, these rain puddles with this like iridescent color from the fade residue reflecting in the pools there, looks at you and says, "I got nothing. There's nothing for me on this side anymore. That's all I got. So I'm here to see it to the end."
Good. Glad you're on the same page. And then I think at that point he looks at Ivory. "Look, I never wanted to. I never wanted to see you get this far into this. This is a shit show and a half. And you're a nice kid. You really are. You're smart. You're quick with your gun. You have everything ahead of you. If shit gets down, I want you to leave. All right, I want you to go on, and I want you to be the one to get back. All right? So, look, I'm not trying to be your dad or nothing, but I'm just saying, don't go trying to be a goddamn hero. All right? And then I think he looks to the old man. "Elias, what do you think?" I mean, it might be too much for you, but I want to know what you think.
Before Elias can say anything, Ivory just kind of looks at him and says, you need somebody to watch your sorry ass. So that's my job.
Ain't that the truth, though? Yeah. All right. What do you think, old man? What do you?
I'm not paying any of you to die.
Oh, wow, that's right. So sweet of you. You actually care about your clients. That's very nice. I appreciate that. So,
Who else am I going to stay alive?
oh, and then when you care. All right, fine. Then I guess we're gonna be a bunch of dumb idiots and go into the goddamn blackout district. This is wonderful.
And as the four of you stride across the street, and Riker enters in this archaic override code on a hope, the door hisses and opens. The stale air inside letting you know that this place hasn't been opened in a while. Beyond, just like all of the blackout district, there's no electricity. There are no lights. It is pitch black. And that's where we're going to take our 10-minute break. So, if you are tuning in this evening, thank you very much for doing so. If you're watching later on, thank you very much as well. Thank you to my 4 fine players thus far, and stick around. 5-10 minutes, we'll be back, and we will get to the second half of episode 3 of the Inquisitors Told. am back. Hello, hello, hello.
Hey.
Hello. I love how much the music kind of tends to inform kind of the mood of the scene when it lines up, that is. Just this really cool track from the original Blade Runner soundtrack kind of came on as you guys started heading towards the police station. So it's just kind of cool how that works out.
Thematic.
Mm-hmm. It just has a certain tone, you know, whether it's slow or fast or dark or mysterious or whatever. So hopefully everybody's Tuesday is not too bad so far. Hopefully everybody's week thus far has not been too bad. We go back and forth with this game and play the Inquisitors, the Vigilantes. Thus far, it has been Inquisitors first and then Vigilantes second. But last session, the Vigilantes covered quite a bit of ground in their session. So this session for the Inquisitors should kind of bring them back up to more or less the same point in the storyline. So I don't know if they will have a fourth session like you guys probably will. But it will probably be close to a month before they actually will play their episode 3.
Interesting.
Yeah, just kind of how it seemed to work out.
Like leapfrog.
Mm-hmm. It's been a kind of an interesting experiment. It's not something I've ever done before, and I don't think it's something that I could maintain for very long, specifically for that reason, because if it gets out of sync with each other by too much, then it doesn't feel like you're really impacting each other's game as much, or at least not as relevantly, I guess. I don't know. But for this kind of a short format campaign, I think it's actually a lot of fun.
It's a blast to be a part of.
Good. I'm glad. Very, very glad.
I like watching their episodes even more, being kind of a part of it as well.
Mm-hmm.
A shadow in their story.
Yeah. It's good. It's been, I can't imagine what it's like watching one not knowing what's coming, or knowing one side of it. Because obviously I've been there for all of it, but it's been fun from my perspective. So I'm glad to hear that it's fun from your perspective as both a player and a viewer. That's good.
Definitely. Yeah. And now that when we conclude this one, I can go and watch their second one.
Yep.
So that'll be enjoyable.
Yep. Yeah, their last session was pretty good. It had some pretty intense moments. So
I'll let you know what I think after I get to view.
Absolutely, please do.
Of course.
It's always good to have feedback from people who watch the games, but especially from somebody who, in this situation, is a player in the other side. I'm sure that's a very unique perspective. So
definitely, pulls on that like nostalgia. Even though it's happening at the same time, it pulls on those same nerves or whatever.
Right.
It's pretty cool. Same kind of feeling.
It's awesome. It's one of the best parts about gaming are the war stories. Talking about nostalgia. You're going back and talking with friends who played through certain scenarios with you, 5, 6, 7 years ago or however long. And different each of you remembers like different specifics about the situation, and like by talking about it, you kind of piece together the scenario of how it happened back then.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of relive that moment, almost like it was a moment that you both actually lived.
Well, they say scientifically, you remember those memories from your character in the same way you would remember actual memories in your brain.
I believe it. There's definitely a psychological link of some kind.
Yeah, because you remember it from your character's perspective usually.
Right.
When you. Yeah.
It makes good sense. It sounds like we've got Alan and Karen back as well. So we'll just wait a couple more minutes here for Chadley to see if he's
Hi.
speak. And the
Speak and I shall arrive. My yes.
Excellent. So the gang's all here. Actually, the gang's all in Chrome City.
Yeah,
and
all in Chrome City.
You guys have just approached the door to this police station, and it has hissed open to reveal a dark and somewhat musty smelling police station on the other side. So what's next? Apparently Chad's going to leave the group. That's what's next.
I certainly do. Hargraves is no stranger to dark alleyways, shady places, things like that. So his first inkling is to pop on like almost like I want to say a glow rod. You know, he like takes one of the glow rods and like shoves it into the top of the pistol, almost like a flashlight on the top of a pistol, right? So he takes his carbine, shoves the glow light on top, or the glow rod into like almost where a portion on there where maybe like a scope would be, or a side light, shoves that in there and like gives himself some vantage point of light as they start heading into this absolute dark abyss of the Blackout District.
Keep on your toes. It's darker than shit in here. You're gonna have to be real careful moving forward. Never know what's gonna be in here.
I think Riker would bring up the rear. So he'd let Elias and Ivory go in before him.
Yeah, Ivory would be just a few paces behind Hargraves.
Please, Elias in the number 3 position, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Oh, very mad, baby. So, the 4 of you press inside. This is not necessarily what you see when you enter the police station, but this is just kind of giving you a general idea of what the blackout sector kind of looks like. It's just monochromatic, dark gray on black. Fog, smoke, stuff everywhere. Seems to kind of illuminate somewhat from, some unknown light source here and there. But you're inside for the time being in this police station. And it's obvious that this place has been vacated for some time. You still see desks, chairs, bulletin boards, things of that nature, kind of that have gathered dust over the decades that it's been left abandoned. And there's 3 areas that are probably of note that are marked clearly on the wall, kind of painted straight onto the cinder block kind of style walls. The first is the holding cells. The second is the evidence room, evidence locker. And the third is the garage. Where would you guys like to head?
I look to the others for advice because I don't know if Hargraves would have been ever in the Blackout District. I don't think he has, but he certainly is keeping on his toes and like looking for orders, basically going back into that old like soldier routine. Like, where do I go? What do I do?
Right. You would know that most people, you probably don't know a single person that has actually gone into the Blackout District since the barrier was put up.
From the outside, we could kind of see where the barrier was. Do we know on the inside, like approximately how far away it would be from where we are right now?
Yeah, you can actually see it in certain hallways and such. So, like, hallways that run the length of the building, you'll see partway down the hallway, this barrier, like I said, it passes through most walls. So you'll just see like a hallway that is truncated by this barrier, partway down it. Or some of the rooms that you kind of enter when you get a little closer, they'll be completely bisected in half by this barrier.
So ultimately, we're just trying to look for a break in the barrier, right?
Correct.
Yeah, the drunk tanks in particular.
All right. So we'll head that way.
Okay. You head down with the arrow that points downstairs for the holding cells. You kind of go down the stairwell and turn. You turn away from where the garage is and head down towards the holding cells. And you kind of open a door into this small little area of the police station that would hold people overnight, or hold them long enough to be moved to an actual prison if it warranted it. And sure enough, you can see that the barrier bisects a part of the room as well as the hallway outside of this area. But where these drunk cells are, these holding cells, the barrier is not present. And again, you would know that it's because of this Ostrom material. They line the cells with them to keep the prisoners from using astra-fueled abilities. Essentially, there's a door in one of these holding cells where the barrier should bypass through, but it's not. And you can see on the back side, through the bars of the back wall, you can see the additional portion of the police station that looks completely accessible once you get through the bars.
Hargraves. Yeah, you think with that new arm you got that you might actually be able to bend those bars in there?
No, I could probably try. I think. Sure, we could do that. And then,
is there like a hole? Is it literally like maybe like a hole in the back of the bars or the back of the cells, or can we see anything from just the bars itself, or is it obscured by the barrier?
No, so you can see like where this barrier comes down all the way through this police station.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the same place throughout the entire building.
Right,
However,
okay.
Where this this holding cell is, it basically has formed a hole. This barrier coming down instead just goes around it.
Oh, nice.
And has left it open. So you can enter into the cell from the door. But in order to actually get out of the cell on the other side of the barrier, you'd have to bend the bars of this cell open.
Okay. Gotcha. So Yeah, that's what I'm going to attempt is I'm going to try to bend the bars open.
Okay. So go ahead and give me another strength check. Absolutely. Why don't you describe that for me, Chad?
So yeah, absolutely. So Hargraves is a salty-nosed bastard, and he just
son of a bitch.
He grips both sides, and his normal arm is just straining against the bars, but the mechanical one just rips open, and it's almost like cutting through butter. It's just so this side doesn't move, and maybe a couple of the bars don't move more than a couple of fractions of a centimeter, but the other ones just get shoved away like a curtain with the mechanical arm. I think I did a good job. We can walk in now. Fucking A. Yeah, it totally sounds like a can opener in the room. As the metal scrapes like the concrete.
Yeah, you even actually managed to make the opening between the bars wide enough that you won't have a problem going through. Everyone else, it's a piece of cake, but
yeah, because this wide-shouldered dude has to have some space. Like, I'm not gonna walk through a goddamn hobbit hole.
And metal appendages don't tend to squeeze quite as well as flesh. So the four of you managed to pass through the bars without very much effort, and you find yourselves officially inside the blackout sector.
On the opposite end, I immediately go from this. There's a switch, I think, in Hargraves' demeanor. Usually, you know, he's that hard-nosed but yet joking person. You know, he hides his insecurities in humor. And now that he's in the Blackout District, something he's never seen before, he is hard-nosed and silent as the grave, unsure of what is to come.
Do we have like a map that would point us, or something that would point us the way towards the factory?
You could poke around here. The blackout sector probably has a map that's, you know, uploadable on the network. That's on the network that you could probably get to your devices and such. But you actually notice that your devices are kind of on the fritz.
Looks like we're truly on our own here.
Even our whisperlinks are, just a quick question, even our whisperlinks are malfunctioning?
Your whisper links seem to be working.
Okay.
But essentially anything that would need to like connect to something outside
Okay.
here doesn't seem like it's communicating at all. But you would know that this being a police station, that it's very possible that they could have, you know, maps and things around here. Maybe even something as archaic as an actual paper map.
I mean, just something that kind of gives us a general idea of what direction to, you know, like walk in. So, yeah, I would imagine like Riker would try to make his way out into the street on the other side. and just kind of like look around, immediate surroundings, kind of thing.
Riker, you make your way kind of back up to street level, and over to, one of the exits. And you start to head out the door when you hear voices, and they sound like they're approaching. So you kind of duck back for a second, and there's like this sound that is accompanying the talking, and soon it's actually overpowering the talking. And it's kind of this mechanical noise followed by a thump. And before long, coming around a corner, you see 3 individuals on foot accompanying a large mechanical mech suit. It seems to be armed with machine gun and rockets on it. And this thing is just right down the street as they kind of hold this circle around it and are seemingly on patrol.
Yeah, I would tell the others on the whisper link, hold tight. There's some sort of patrol, heavily armed, like military grade armed.
Shit, Riker. What do you think we're gonna do here? You said military grade armed? I thought there was nothing but... I literally thought the Blackout District was completely dead.
Yeah, definitely. I thought, tweakers, outskirters, deserters. But
you think that looks military?
It's a damn mech.
Fucking thing.
With enough fire, that's enough firepower to bring this whole building down on us right here.
All right. Well, what do you want to do? You want to go introduce us? Do you want to go introduce ourselves to the fucking mech?
We're not even supposed to be on this side.
Yeah, I know. It's not like...
Our best bet is let them pass, make our way to the factory. Let's get in, get out.
Yeah, get in, get out. Easy for you to say. Good God, this is bullshit.
All right. And I think we're gonna try to take that slow and steady approach of avoiding contact if possible.
Okay. It takes a little bit of time for this patrol to pass. This thing is not quick on its feet. It doesn't seem like. And these 3 individuals actually are somewhat taking some time to kind of duck in and out of some of these cursory buildings on the side.
So I think with Hargrave's eye, I'm scanning patrol patterns, right? Like I'm watching for when they move to a building. I'm watching for when they leave a building. I'm watching for like what's the rotation for the mech, all these sorts of things. And then like when I see something that I think is an opening, I like give just a CCPD signal, like, and move. Like maybe it's a small whistle, maybe it's a small like thing, but it's probably non-verbal, so it's probably a sort of motion, and then we move as a unit. We're gonna like move to that next space.
So you guys start moving. You realize that there's probably another exit that's a little further down that they would be past here in just a moment. So you kind of duck down past these windows that are kind of dusted over, kind of grimed, almost completely opaque. And you kind of maneuver along a catwalk. And as you're going along this catwalk, you realize that you're kind of passing overhead of this garage area. And you're kind of headed towards a small door on the side that's kind of on the second story, probably up where you see this overpass here. And as you're kind of passing through this garage, the light of your glow rods kind of catches the edges of something that is at least noteworthy. You guys see several of these also mechs kind of standing at rest, almost as if parked in different bays. There's probably close to a dozen of them in various states of repair. These are called offensive response containment suits, or ORCs for short. These are what the CCPD violence response unit kind of thing would use to put down civil unrest.
I ain't seen one of those in years. Fucking hell. That's an orc.
Elias would definitely go over and start to examine, at least closer, starting to try to look at them.
Checking them out, some of them are in pretty bad shape, dry rot. Some of them have battle damage to them and were put away in poor condition. You think that you could probably switch out and replace parts and get some of these working again, but it would take some doing with your art tool.
I have a new and improved one of those. I would very much like to own one of these.
Yeah. You have a way to get it back over on the other side of the barrier?
What I heard that as a kid is you wear it. We had to walk it out. But I don't necessarily think you're going to walk a suit like that out in heavy grade military watch. There, old man.
One can dream, can't they?
Oh, don't get me wrong. I want one of those too. If there's more of them, I'd love to have one myself. But, to be honest.
And he looks up. I think he takes a moment because we're on the, as we've crossed this catwalk. He takes a moment, like peeks his head back out the door of this garage, looking over the catwalk as he sees the military patrol keep going forward.
If we're not careful, they're going to find us. And when they do, inevitably, we better be prepared for it. All I'm saying. I don't think we may have snuck in, but I doubt we're going to sneak out.
Do we see any insignias on the mech or the three figures that were around it? Or were they completely unsigniated?
The three figures that are on foot definitely have the same kind of getup that you saw on the Cabal of the Covenant individuals that you crossed. Gas mask, hooded, trench coat, lightly armored. Their weapons are a little bit better than the ones that you ran across in the city. But your guess is that they're probably part of the same outfit.
Could I? Yeah, I want to see if I can get one powered up and see if how far the factory would be from where we are now. See if they have some kind of like navigation or something that would give us
Okay.
that information.
So, if you would please make me an arc tool check.
Okay. Is it a repair?
Yes, definitely so.
Okay. Then I would have advantage, I would assume, from my new selection choice. Same thing. 14.
So, these things are in pretty bad shape, but you manage to basically pull the the motivator out of one of them and replace the one that seems like the most intact. And once you do, and you climb inside or reach inside this kind of hatch on the top that also kind of forms the head of these 10-foot 12-foot tall monstrosities, there's kind of this whirring noise as you can hear it come online, and all of the hydraulics and stuff kind of bounce and shift and shimmy a little as this thing kind of becomes a little less rigid. Seems like it's working. And as far as how far the factory seems to be, it's a decent clip. It's probably a good 20 miles from where you currently are.
I'm going to need some time, but I believe that I can get some of these operational. We're going to need them to get us there quicker. I would show them on the map, the display, show at least one of them, how far it would be.
Yeah, there's probably an old Glancer screen somewhere in the garage itself on the wall. You just kind of wipe the dust off of most of it or whatever, and you're able to kind of broadcast from the suit to this Glancer to kind of display where the distance that you're talking about between this police station and the factory.
Obviously, these things are bigger than us. Are they? How mobile are one of these? Like, would these actually cross 20 miles quicker, or are we better off trying to find some sort of vehicle or something?
These things are probably better designed for crossing open terrain better than you would be. It's just kind of a matter of how much ducking in and out of buildings that you're going to want to try to do versus how much traveling out in the open you want to do. These things seem like they're decently mobile for how big they are, but also they are a 12-foot tall robot.
How far we got to go?
And you can see that like there's a bit of like admiration in seeing this suit. And Hargraves, like he's seen these as a kid on the Glancer screens, and he was like,
Dude, this could be fun. Yeah, you can do some damage in this thing.
Yeah, but I also see this thing calling unwanted attention.
When do I not call unwanted attention?
How soon can you get these operational?
Well, if you could help me with some lifting, it would go much faster, I presume.
I'll help you, old man. There's a part of me that wants to ride one of these things.
So I imagine that we could help, but I'd like to have Ivory kind of keep a lookout.
Okay, absolutely. So it's definitely going to take a little bit of time, probably a couple of hours at least. Like you said, kind of removing parts and swapping them out, having some of the pieces lifted into place where you use your arc tool to kind of situate them. But what I'm going to need is an arc tool check for each of the suits. Like I said, there is a possibility of getting 4 of them up and running. You already got 1. So it looks like you've got... Oh, actually, even the 12 passes. That was the target number. So out of the dozen or so units that you managed to find kind of stashed in this garage, you do manage to get 4 units up and in working order. Ivory, while you're kind of on lookout as this is going on, yes, you may consider this a short rest. If you could also roll me a perception check, Ivory.
Sweet. I got a natural 20 on perception, so that's a total of 26.
Excellent. Okay, so as you guys are kind of mucking about in the garage, and Ivory is kind of up on this catwalk where she's found like a broken corner of one of these window panes that she can kind of look out and feel like she's relatively hidden. Some blocks up the road, Ivory, and again, it's a far enough distance that you're having difficulty seeing it with the naked eye. But there's just something about it that has caught your attention enough that you started to pay attention more and more to it. It looks like a body, but it looks like it has been put on display, maybe. Like it's not just a, body laying in the street kind of thing.
Is it strung up, or is it just laid out on the street? So
no, it definitely seems like it's attached to some kind of structure. Not like a crucifix, but something kind of like that, like a piece of mangled something, and they're kind of tied up to it or whatever.
Does anybody have binoculars or anything?
At that point, Hargraves, I imagine, drops what he's doing, not literally dropping like a piece of important equipment, right? You could, Hargraves then would come over and
say, "What do you need? What's going on?"
Is he down the street there? There's some guy.
Yeah.
I don't know, he's attached to something.
Attached?
Like, is he alive? Is he dead?
Look, I understand we're in the Outage District. I understand you've probably seen a lot of things that you probably haven't seen before. But if you're going and seeing dead bodies,
latched it. And he takes a moment and just sighs and shakes his head, and he looks out the window with this newfound like eye scope, and looks out where she's looking to see if he can spot exactly what she's talking about.
Okay. Go ahead and make a perception roll.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's not bad. So I also got a 26.
Absolutely. So yeah, this eye has some kind of scoping technology included, probably something that Hargraves was not used to in his older version of prosthetic. But this thing kind of zooms in, 4 or 5 times zoom, and you can tell that it absolutely is a body kind of strung up on. It looks like the burnt out husk of like a bus. And this body has been here for a little while. It's definitely shown some decay, exposure to the elements. But Hargraves, it's actually really interesting that you're the one who has spotted this individual with detail, because you know this person, or you knew this person. Hargraves, why don't you tell me about the friend who saved your life and then disappeared?
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Okay. Yeah. Hargraves, his eye readjusts and readjusts and readjusts. And it's not until he gets really close and he can see the face that he stops. No. No, they can't be. No. This is wrong. It's just not. This man will call. Hold on 1 second. I want to make sure that I get this right. I think I have this written. I'm not sure. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't write a name to it. So I'll give him a name. This man was Valis. He was a Astra user like Hargraves, but he also understood the reason for mercy. There was a Inquisitor. There was a man who tracked him down. Valis protected me. I was just a young punk shit. Protected me from I can be like every one of you, every one of those other Astra users. He put himself in harm's way, even when he didn't have to. He provided me mercy when he didn't have to do that. That's why I do that for my own people now. And Valis is certainly an older man. Valis is than Hargraves, and so he definitely looks weathered and worn. And for a moment in the non-servoed eye, some tears begin to well out of his face. Son of a bitch. They did that to him. They made him a fucking glorified hubcap. A damn bumper sticker to them. Ugh. And he walks over somewhere into the garage, and I imagine that there's probably a column that holds up this massive room that they're in with all of these 12-foot mechs, and he just slams his arm dead into one of these posts. The best imagery that I can think of is like The Rock from The Rundown, where he like just shoves his shoulder through the post. That's exactly how I picture it in this moment. He's just so angry, he just levels it. When we find those sons of bitches, there will be no mercy. You understand me? Not a damn one of these bullets is getting wasted. They did that to the man that I used to call a fucking...
It sounds like it came from over here. I swear, I just heard something. Something moved inside of here. What is this?
Shit, fuck.
Elias, what's the ETA on one of those suits?
I'm sorry. I'm fucking sorry. Just... shit.
First one should be ready to go by now, at least.
All right, well, climb the fuck in because it's about to get hot.
So he is actually currently putting on the finishing touches, as it were, of the last one. So anybody who wishes to climb inside of one of these things can do so.
I tell him to skip the paint job and just get in it.
Yeah, Ivory's donning one as quick as possible.
Hargraves is an angry son of a bitch running to his truck, hopping up into the truck bed, and like just like, you know, when you turn the ignition and you rev the engine, that's exactly, I think, how he treats this like old tin can of a suit. He's angry and ready to drive, which is not a good combination.
So it sounds like Riker, Ivory, and Hargraves are each taking one. What about Elias?
I think he was like already in the cockpit booting up the last one. So he just gets it to close. And...
Excellent. So these orc suits are fairly intuitive. They were designed to be used by police officers who had some training with them, but they were definitely designed for different levels of skill to be able to operate them. So you don't have too much of a difficulty getting at the wheel and kind of getting the feel for this. So I sent the link to the write-up for these things, how they adjust your stats, etc. And we, as you're kind of getting in these things and you're getting accustomed to the way they feel, you do realize, however, that they have no weaponry of their own. It looks as if they are set up in such a way that you could probably channel Astra if you have abilities that use it, kind of through these things' arms. If you have any weapons that are two-handed or versatile, these things can use them one-handed. But anything that is one-handed would be too small for these things to actuate. However, there is no shortage of crap lying around that would make for decent stand-in weapons. So, how are you equipping yourselves?
Ivory's going to have the Ace of Spades in one of the hands of the robot. It is a versatile weapon.
Absolutely. Yeah, so the the handle on that is certainly long enough for 2 hands for a person. This thing's robotic grip easily kind of fills up the entire length of the haft.
Yeah, so Riker climbs in and the hatch comes down. The HUD comes up and it starts like just spilling this like startup tutorial stuff about what the orc suit is and everything. And Riker's just like flipping switches, like, how do I skip this? And grabs the joysticks there and pulls back, and the arms just kind of like reach out. And he just like grabs this nearby lamppost and then just begins to just squeeze down and just pull it out. And he makes it into a makeshift bat, if you will. And then he is going to, if I remember correctly, is going to infuse it with red Astra, using it as one of his energy weapons.
Absolutely. So Riker kind of rends this large steel pole out of the ground. It comes up with like a section of concrete at the very end of it. And as he kind of turns it in his hands and hefts it, this magenta Astra kind of pours out of this thing's joints and wreaths this this lamppost in magenta Astra. Outside, you hear a heavy boot slam against the outside of the door that you were headed towards. I hear something inside here. There's definitely someone inside. There's some kind of mechanical noises. Come on, blow the door off. And the door is blown off. There is a small explosion at this tiny door compared to the garage door, which is quite large down on the first floor. This door that's made for foot traffic is blown open, and these 3 individuals kind of start to pour into the room. The first one takes about 2 or 3 steps into the garage and onto the catwalk before his light on his gun kind of flickers on, and he starts trying to scan the room and turns downward to look into the bay and sees these 4 orc suits starting to actuate and move about. Oh shit! They've got some kind of hardware! Everybody roll initiatives, please. Okay. Give me just a second, guys, and I will address the questions that I've got coming in here. Okay, we've got Riker with a 23. Hargraves with an 18. Okay. Elias with a 9 and Ivory with a 21. Okay. Questions. Longsword two-handed. Yes, your longsword will be a D10. It will count as versatile damage. Okay, so Riker, you're up first.
All right. So we still have 2 individuals not in a suit, right? Or did they climb in?
All of your party is currently in
In a
one
normal
of these
suit.
mechs.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah. So Riker just like full throttles and has the orc suit charge at the one that's like radioing for help or whatever. And once he's within reach, he's gonna just take that lamp post and just swing it across.
All right. Go ahead and make that attack.
All right. That is an 18 on the die. So I'm gonna imagine with the orc suit bonus of a +6 plus proficiency, that would hit.
Yes, it absolutely will connect with this individual.
All right, and here we go. Just gonna take that as a slam, or no, rebel projectile. There. Oh no, it's
So yeah, that's the rebel projectile stat is normally for like something thrown.
okay.
So yeah, just use your slam stomp damage. That should be
Ooh,
sufficient.
goodness. All right. All right, so that is going to be 24 damage, bludgeoning.
So you almost tripled the amount of hit points that this guy had. So what does that look like?
So yeah, I imagine he just comes in. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot the red astra too. That's a D8 extra there. So that's additional 5 damage. Anyway, so yeah, he comes in and as he like climbs over, he sees that suit and then he just sees that pole that's just like radiating the magenta astra, and it just comes across in a wide arc, and it connects with a thunk, and there's just this ragdoll body that just streams across the warehouse there and just collides into some like barrels and crates and just makes a loud crash.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's toast. They're going to have to scrape him off the ground if anybody's left to even do it. The 2 guys outside the door kind of see this happen, start freaking out. Oh, God damn it. He's down. Ivory, it is your turn.
Sorry, I got the sneeze here. So is there any exits? Like he came in from above us, is that right?
Yeah, so the catwalk that you guys were on earlier that kind of ran over the top portion of this bay is where this other door that you guys were going to try to exit from earlier, that's where he just came in from. So he's up on this catwalk. The other 2 individuals are just outside the door above you. However, there is also a large bay door, like a garage, kind of roll down metal door on the level where you guys are that exits straight out onto the street.
I'm going to head for that and I guess just try to lift it up with my awesome armor strength now and just kind of like whip it open and start running out.
Absolutely. So this thing is rusted and has not been moved in a long time. So if you would, go ahead and roll me a strength check. You can use athletics if you'd like.
Sorry, math is hard. It will be a 21 in total.
Yeah, and you kind of reach down and you have to kind of basically like punch your fingers kind of through the very bottom of this metal door to get some purchase on it. But as you do so, you kind of close your fists of this orc suit. The metal kind of crumples almost like aluminum foil in these fists. And then you just stand up with this mech. And as you do so, the door creaks and groans, chains and wheels start snapping along the sides, but this thing opens. You manage to open it up over your head. And as you get this thing to open up and over your head, you see that these three individuals were definitely not alone.
Okay.
That out on the street is this other mech, which kind of starts to pivot as this door is opened.
How far away is it?
Probably about 50, 60 feet from where you are currently.
So how fast can you move in these? It can move 25?
Yeah, these things are a little slow unless they get going. So right now they're just at a 25-foot.
I think what she would do is, before it can actually spin around fully, she's just going to run as fast as she can at it, full tilt, and try to knock it over.
Okay. So with the time that you've had to take to open this door, you managed to effectively close about half the distance to this thing before it is Hargraves' turn.
So are there other people in the garage still with us?
There are two individuals on foot of the initial three, but they are outside the door to the garage. But I mean, you can definitely see, their presence. Their edges of their shoulders, the edge of their boot, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Are there any? You said this is a garage. So are there any cars in this garage?
Of course there are.
Oh, absolutely. Perfect. So Hargraves is angry. He is a pissed off bull in a damn china shop, right? And he sees these cars and grabs one by just the whole front hood, everything, and hurls it. I'm gonna try to hurl it out into the open door area where the two others are at, and just try to crush them with a flipping car as it sort of like tumbles toward them. In this, he's yelling and screaming into the microphone that is in this suit, and I imagine that it's like the sound that a Gundam wing like pilot makes when he's like roaring and shooting gunfire down on somebody. That's exactly the imagery that I get from this, as Hargraves is like, "Take this, you piece of shit," and like throws this car out into the distance.
Excellent. So go ahead and roll that attack. We'll see how this turns out.
I would be using which one for the attack?
Probably the rubble projectile.
The rubble projectile. Okay,
yeah.
So that's going to be a very nice 22 to hit.
Yeah. You absolutely caused this old-style police cruiser to crash into the sides of this this open doorway. I mean, it just careens into the wall on either side of this door. And so the damage normally is 2d8 plus 6, but go ahead and throw an additional d8 on there because of the weight of the car.
Oh, shit. That's cool, dude. Thank you. Oh, cool. Okay, so... Oh, shit. So 16 plus 6. Damn, 22. Yeah, 22. 22 damage, all up.
All right. and even divided in half if they manage to even make their saving throws. That is enough to take out both of these individuals. So what does that look like?
Perfect. I'm so glad you let me describe that. As I said earlier, he yells this, and I imagine that the two guards aren't really paying attention. Like they know that we're in here, but they're trying to get the reinforcements to come, right? And so they're like talking back and forth to each other, and then all of a sudden they hear this whistling. Like, what the fuck is that? You didn't shoot anything in the building, did you? No, but what the fuck? As they become a puddle of mist underneath this massive, like, floating car, as a giant chunk of the wall takes out one of them. As he's standing next to the wall, a giant chunk of the wall comes shooting out and hitting the one guy. The one guy in the actual doorway gets hit with the front end of the car and gets shot out into the street. Just blood pan.
And as the three individuals on foot are handily quashed, that would make it Elias's turn.
How far is this other mech from us?
About 50, 55 feet from the garage door.
He's gonna... And she made an opening big enough for him to fit through then?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the garage door is now wide open.
All right, he's gonna kind of like seem like he hesitates, and then he's just gonna start running, and it kind of like a fawn first freaking being born and walking and kind of like crisscrossing at first, and then his own momentum of almost falling kind of gets him into a run, and he's gonna run and try to get try and grab something as he does, see if he can lift it up and kind of throw it, but not very big, probably. Maybe like a dumpster.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff, debris and otherwise, kind of littered about everywhere. So there's no problem finding something like that. You can, as you're kind of hustling out this garage, you're going to be able to get in within range for hurling this metal dumpster at this thing. So go ahead and roll your attack up.
I'm going to use a point of inspiration because I don't think that was good enough. Modified 20.
That'll do it.
All right. So then 2D. $15 damage on that. Yeah. No, 17.
Okay. So this this dumpster kind of goes hurling through the air. There's this horrendous noise as your metal fist kind of picks it up and then hurls it, as the metal kind of is colliding with metal. But then as it's sailing through the air, there's almost like this perfect silence. And then this god-awful noise again as the steel dumpster collides with the bulk plate exterior of this mech. And it kind of rocks on its feet for just a second. And then kind of continues its turn. You can see that it definitely dinged the side of this thing's armor, scraped quite a bit of the paint off, but it doesn't seem like it did a lot. All right. It is now the mech's turn. As it has finished turning its way around, it kind of almost like locks its like pivot towards you guys, Elias and Ivory. Elias, you are a lot closer. it is going to open fire at you with its machine gun. Oh. Okay. Okay, so it critically hits you, Elias, dealing 22 points of piercing damage. Make sure that you guys keep track of the damage that you take while you're in the mech from your own hit points. So this thing opens fire with its machine gun, its right arm, just kind of these twin barrels just all of a sudden barking to life, sending fire and lead just like straight at Elias's mech, riddling the center portion of your metal suit with these projectiles. In addition, it also fires one of the missiles that it has in this kind of caddy on the side directly at Ivory. Ivory, this missile kind of streaks out of this little holder, this launcher on its side, with this kind of curtailed smoke as it spirals its way towards you and is going to hit the street basically kind of right in front of where you're at. And you're going to need to make a dexterity saving throw, as well as if either the other two of you would happen to be within 15 feet of her, you will also have to make a saving throw.
Okay.
Would you believe I rolled a nat 20 on my die?
Of course. Of course, I would believe you.
So in tune with this suit. It is amazing.
Wow,
so that's
excellent.
Total of 24.
Excellent. And it sounds like Hargraves also nat 20'd. That's fantastic. Okay, so both of you managed to take just half of this force/fire damage. And the total damage is 15 points. So perhaps a piece of the wall or something from the throw that Hargraves just made has dislodged and kind of fell, somewhat between you and this missile's explosion, shielding you just a little bit from the explosion. And it has kind of turned and is stabilizing itself, ready for this fight to continue. Riker, you're up.
Yeah, Riker would move in on this other mech and using his makeshift weapon. I'm going to try to knock it off balance if possible.
So you want to try a shove attack?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's going to be an athletics check.
All right. So that's let's see here. 15 plus 6, so 21. And then I am proficient in athletics, so 24.
Yeah, so for while you're in the suit, you'll use the suit's athletics bonus. At least.
Okay. Wow, yeah, plus 12. So
yeah, it's a pretty decent.
So yeah, that's a 21. So that's a 33.
Okay. So you managed to clip this thing. I don't know. Maybe you managed to clip it in between its legs, kind of on the inside knee, if you will. And it makes this thing, this leg kind of kick out, kind of sending rubble and stuff off to the side. But it definitely teeters and falls to the ground. It is prone.
All right. Since I have extra attack, I'd like to use that and just kind of like try to spear down with this pole.
Excellent. Yeah, so go ahead and roll that, and you'll have advantage because this thing is prone.
All right. All right. So it's 23 to hit.
That'll hit.
And I roll that. 3d10 again. So that's 30 plus the red astra, 34 damage.
Excellent. The magenta fueled weapon definitely seems to make a pretty decent difference in the kind of damage that it inflicts on this thing's hull. And when you drive this post through it, it does actually penetrate through the armor of this thing fairly deep. I would say probably 3 or 4 feet into this thing's body.
Yeah, I imagine Riker comes in, he like sweeps it, it falls over, and then he just like just smashing it until this like he kind of hears this crunch of when the pole kind of like goes through.
And this thing is kind of whirring, and you hear the servos and stuff going nuts trying to get this thing where it can possibly get back onto its feet again. It's going to be difficult, if at all possible. Ivory, you're up.
So is this mech kind of like us, or is it much bigger and more contained? Like does it look like what we're wearing?
No. It is less anthropomorphic. Like, it doesn't have arms, but it's easily the same size. It's actually probably a little bit taller, but it is definitely wider. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. Although not as stable. Like the center of gravity is a little higher on this thing.
Does it have one like a hatch or something where a person gets inside of it?
Yes, it definitely looks like it has a pilot chassis.
And it's prone, so I'd like to try to rip that hatch open, get to the person inside.
Excellent. Okay. You kind of run over there with your mech, kind of reach down, grab a hold of this hatch's handle. Go ahead and roll a strength check for me.
That'll be a 15.
Okay. You wrench down on this thing and you bend the handle, but it doesn't unlatch. You're pulling on this thing and you're pulling hard, but this thing is stuck pretty good.
I think I will just bash it then. If you can't come out, then we'll just seal him in there.
Okay. So it sounds like maybe a slam stomp attack?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a 2. So that would be a 10.
You still have your inspiration. If you haven't used it, you could use that now if you wanted to.
Nah, I think that's fine now.
Cool.
We can look for some more in a second. I'll save that one.
Okay, so you rear back with your fist, your other hand, and kind of bring it down, but your reinforced metallic knuckles just kind of graze down the side of this thing, peeling away some of the surface paint and metal, but not doing a whole lot of anything more than surface damage to this mech. Hargraves, you're up. Muted, Chad.
Muted, bro.
Oh, okay, thank you. He sees this mech is down. He sees that Riker and Ivory kind of have that mech in hand. You know, they're both basically on top of it at this point. And so I'm gonna step out of the garage now, and then sort of look to where we saw the body hanging, and I would immediately scan the field for any incoming hostiles coming from that area. And if not, I'm going to try to make a beeline straight for that. And I will gladly tell the rest of the group, like, I have a debt to repay. Like, there's some unfinished business here. Whether you follow me or not, like, I'm going to do this.
So you kind of run past, maybe even jump over where this is kind of taking place in the street to the spot beyond where you saw this this old friend, this old acquaintance strung up. The entire time you're trying to scan the field as best you can. It's a little difficult because your eye doesn't operate inside here. You're kind of relying on the exterior feed of this this mech, kind of putting it on your HUD display. And as you're kind of nearing that end of the street, you're kind of scanning back and forth, looking for anything. You see no heat signatures. You see no blips on your motion tracker. But then you do see just a fraction of movement, just kind of off to the side. Something quick, and then it's gone.
No impulse control. Zero impulse control. Hargraves has no quit. He literally is just this angry bull now. And he sees that movement. And if there's a stop sign somewhere near him, maybe anything he can fling, his hand reaches out and grips tight against this pole and like attempts to rend it out of the concrete. As he rends it, he's going to throw it like a javelin at that general direction.
Okay, go ahead and make a rebel projectile attack. This one would probably be at disadvantage due to not having a hard, fast target.
Perfect, because I rolled a 19 and a 1, so that's perfectly fine. I'll take the 1. So he just flings it like an angry child and just it clatters and smashes into nearby rubble, maybe a car, maybe something. But the voice comm comes over.
You wanted to get my attention. You certainly got it, you asshole. Now come out and fight me, if you dare.
The command is followed by a tense silence. And then we move to Elias's turn.
He's going to run up to the downed enemy mech and proceed to bring up his mechanical leg of the mech and bring it down with as much force as he can onto the chassis.
Okay, so that'll be a stomp, and it'll be at advantage.
Oh, all right. 21.
Will absolutely hit him.
20 damage.
Excellent. Okay. So yeah, this thing groans as you kind of plant the foot of your mech onto the side of this thing's chassis and kind of push down. And you can hear the metal kind of creak and bend, snap. But this thing is built for a punishment. And as of now, at least, it's not finished. It is this thing's turn. And it has the potential of 2 different targets nearby. And it has apparently chosen Ivory and Riker. As it lashes out with its 2 legs, almost like a horse or something, it just kind of pulls up its foot close to its body and then lashes out in a stomp of its own, kind of kicking upwards. Riker, I don't think a 14 is going to hit you in your current suit. So that misses. The second to Ivory's mech, I think a 21 is going to do it. Okay. So this thing slams into Ivory's mech. And you're going to take 24 points of bludgeoning damage. Because this thing's incredibly powerful leg kind of smashes into you. And with this thing's legs kind of having just kicked out, it brings them back up close to its body and kind of rolls back to where its where its crotch essentially would be close to the ground, and it starts to stand back up. Riker, it's your turn.
I'm going to try to continue to hold it down.
Okay, so maybe a grapple.
Yeah.
Okay, so that should be another athletics check.
All right. It's not bad. Could be better. I'm going to use my point of inspiration. All right. Yes, much better. That is going to be 28.
Yes, this thing, although it's trying to stand up, basically it kind of gets its legs underneath of it, and as it's trying to extend those legs back out, Riker, you, not having been flung back at all from the kick that it tried to deliver to you, kind of pounce on this thing, using the weight of your mech to kind of hang on this thing and try to keep it close to the ground. So it's almost like squatting down real close to the ground. Not able to fully stand up.
And yeah, so I'm holding it. I'm like holding down the joysticks as like hard as I can, trying to like hold this thing in place. And over the comms, Riker just yells out, "End it now!"
Hey, Ivory, you're up.
Okay, so Ivory is going to approach it a little bit at a slower pace this time instead of running full tilt and then, flubbing up everything. So she's going to approach it and she's going to, again, try to rip that hatch open and get into the inside.
Okay, so make another one of those strength checks.
Ooh, I got a nat 20 again. These guys are
Fantastic.
awesome. So that's 26 in total.
Yeah. So you wrench down on this thing, and where you had dealt some pretty serious damage to it before, you take advantage of the compromised steel, and you just pull it open like a sardine can. This thing, the hatch just flies off. It's either in your hand or you've thrown it back behind you, one of the two. And looking down inside there, you can see a very frightened-looking pilot. You can tell just by his body language. He's kind of looking up, kind of shielding his head from you by holding his hands up in front of his face.
Is he within reach? Like, can I reach in and just pull him out?
Yes, absolutely.
That is what I will do.
Okay. So go ahead and make a grapple check. You can use the Orc Suit's athletics if you'd like.
Yes, that will be a 17.
Handily. You have grabbed a hold of him. So the intention is to pull him.
Yeah, pull him right. Like I've got his probably by the head, and I'm pulling him up and holding him. I'm not gentle, so this probably hurts him a lot. But that guy is not going to be in this mech anymore, and I just. Yeah, no, she wouldn't. She wouldn't throw him anywhere. She would just kind of hang on to him, let him just dangle there, and kind of maybe look to Riker for what he wants to do with him.
Okay. Yeah, he's kind of dangling there, kind of wincing from the pain that's being racked on his body. Hargraves, down the street. What are you doing?
I'm standing defiant in front of this building. I am standing, bludgeoning, looking for any sort of bludgeoning weapon I can. In fact, if there's a street lamp post that is nearby, I would like to try to rend that out and basically create like a bow staff out of it. You know, like a large quarterstaff out of it. And he would just put it in his hand, and one of the weapons that I had had the Astra augmenter on it, and so I would then run Astra through this like post.
I'm not gonna ask you again, you assholes. Come out and fight me, or I'm gonna go hunting.
And as you do so, there is a small cascade of pebbles as something just out of sight shifts. And you see this thing kind of step out into view and realize it's not a living creature. It appears to be a small, maybe 3.5, 4 feet tall or so being that is made out of mechanical parts. And it's spray painted, these kind of bright neon colors. And this thing has like a single lens camera for a face, but it has limbs like a body. And you can tell just by looking at it that it's frightened, that this thing is timid, and it kind of makes like this noise as it kind of mimicking behavior it may have seen, kind of puts its hands in the air up above its head and kind of steps out into the open, kind of very cautiously and slowly.
What the fuck?
Elias,
What is this shit?
your turn.
So that's happening over there, like around a corner, right?
It's kind of down at the end of the street, where the rest of this is kind of unfolding in the middle.
I would look at and start looking at the remains of this unpiloted mech to see if maybe these weapons that are on the side of it are usable. From what I can tell from inside of my orc.
Yeah, you think it would probably take some doing. You'd probably have to go at it with your arc tool, but you think you could probably repurpose them.
I would assume that since she has the pilot in hand, that it looks like, at least for me in our vicinity, that all threats have been neutralized.
Yes, absolutely. It would appear so.
Let's see if we can put some of this to use. And he'd open his hatch and have the suit kneel down in preparation to get out and start doing his arc tool shenanigans.
Okay. Everybody except for Hargraves, if you would please roll me perception checks. Riker and Ivory, you would probably have an advantage on this roll. Okay. Got Riker's. Okay, I've got Elias's. Excellent. Wow. All right. All three of you notice that this pilot, excuse me, though he is racked with pain, he has reached into his trench coat jacket and has produced some kind of handheld device. And it looks like he's fumbling with it, trying to press a rather large lever on this thing. Each of you may choose to attempt to do something by spending your reaction if you would like to. But I need to know what it is relatively quickly.
I'd like to close my hand around his head and squish his head.
Okay. I definitely think that you would probably be able to react faster than the other two. So go ahead and roll your slam damage, if you would, please.
What, 13 on the dice, plus 6, so that's 19 damage.
And feel free to describe what it looks like as you... You don't have to if you don't want to.
I'm just imagining. So she squeezes her hand, and there's just this horrible crunching sound, and his face literally kind of explodes like a little puffball as she squishes it. Ugh.
Absolutely. And as you kind of crush this guy's melon in your fist, his body falls free, no longer having anything to really attach it securely, and collapses to the ground, where his hand falls open and this small device kind of tumbles out of it. There's very little doubt in the three of your minds that this was likely some kind of self-destruct switch and was probably wired to these missiles that were remaining. So, back where Riker is, or not Riker, I'm sorry, back where Hargraves is. And this small little creature has stepped out from the rubble, extending its hands up. It looks like it's surrendered. What are you going to do, Hargraves?
Hargraves looks at this.
So you want to tell me who's responsible for this? You little spray-painted sprite fuck.
He kind of scans the immediate area with kind of jerky motion of his head, and then kind of shrugs his shoulders, but he doesn't quite understand.
Jesus Christ, why am I talking to a damn tin can?
Cabal. Cabal.
Cabal? Boy, yeah, no, I can figure that. Cabal are responsible for this. I figured
Cabal.
that.
He kind of points down the street towards where this mech is laying in ruin.
He looks down the street at the ruined mech. Like the ruined mech that we just killed? That we just finished off?
Mm-hmm.
Are you asking me if I'm Cabal?
He kind of shakes his head with kind of that same whirring kind of as he shakes his head side and side. No, Cabal, as he points to your mech.
No.
He points his
I'm not
other
Cabal.
fist towards your friend and says, Cabal.
Cabal.
He points to himself and he says, Elf.
Uh-huh.
Elf, help.
Elf, help.
Elf,
Elf, help me?
Elf, help. No, Cabal.
No Cabal. Okay.
Elf, help. No, Cabal. Find.
So now I'm no Cabal. Okay. So you're gonna help me.
Elf, help. No, Cabal. Find Sanctum.
Sanctum.
That's where we're going to end for tonight.
Ooh.
So,
I'm intrigued beyond intrigued, my friend.
good. Thank you guys very, very much for those of you who may have tuned in and watched this evening as well. Thank you for anybody who may be tuning in the future to give us a watch. Be sure to catch episode 3 for the Vigilantes. And absolutely make sure to catch episode 4, which will be the finale for the Inquisitors here. So I'm going to pitch this over to my players so that they can do their outros before we wrap all of this up and call it a night. So, Alan, why don't you go ahead and take us out?
Sure thing. Name's Alan. Check me on Check for Traps. Jeremy, as always, wonderful session. Love setting and love all the players. Love the characters. So just building up to that crescendo coming up, final chapter, and bringing both of these storylines and into I don't know, some sort of collision, I'm guessing. So we'll see. Yeah. So looking forward to it. And yeah, thanks a lot.
Absolutely, man. It's always a pleasure to have you on board. So thank you very much for bringing a lot of fantastic ammunition to Riker in this game. Next up, we've got Elias. I'm sorry, the other Chad, the player of Elias.
I'm the other Chad Smith. I gotta promote Absolute Tabletop Group on Facebook, as always. If you haven't gotten that from the first couple sessions, give us a join if you haven't yet. Get in some games over there. Absolute blast with these people here. Join in some games with them. Get in there, have some fun. Looking forward to another session. We've managed to squeeze another one out of Jeremy, and I'm pleased with that. So I'm looking forward to seeing your guys' faces again here soon. And that's it for me.
Excellent. Thank you very, very much. Always fun. I think this is only the third session where I've had the opportunity to run you as a player, Chad, and I really enjoy Elias's. He's kind of the other side of the coin to the other three, which is always just a lot of fun to have those opposites kind of played against each other. Karen, you're next.
Hi, I'm Karen. I had a blast tonight. I've loved this game so much, and just when I thought it couldn't get any better, we had tonight, and this was amazing. I think Ivory's going to be a little bit scarred from what just happened, but we'll see what where that takes her. This is a blast. I can't wait for the next episode. Thank you.
Positively. And thank you, Karen. Likewise, I think this is only my I think this is my fourth game to run for you, because you played in the Masters of the Universe game, and yeah, I've seen you around the community for some time, and have had nothing but positive interactions with you. And having you as a player is fantastic. And Ivory, I think if she is scarred from this, I think that'll be a lot of really good character development to see kind of unfold. I'm definitely excited to see how this whole thing kind of wraps up, and hopefully it does in a way that makes sense. Last but certainly not least, Chad.
Oh, man. I went on an emotional roller coaster tonight, guys. And it was fun, and it was cool, and thank you. Yeah, so my name is Chad Nick. You can find me on YouTube around multiple places. But normally I'm over at my own channel, Chad Nick. You can go and check me out. That's KNICK if you're looking. Also, I'm over at a little known podcast called The Dudes of Eeyore with my buddies Jeremy Lilly and Jeff Doty. You should probably check us out because we're pretty much cool people. So if you like what we're doing, like if you like Jeremy here and how he DMs, and you've checked out any of Jeff Doty's stuff over at Erasmus Expeditions, or no, Encounter Balance. My bad. We're on your channel now. Yeah, Encounter Balance is Jeff's channel, so you'll go check that out. If you like any of the stuff that we do, we run a podcast, talk about cool stuff in D&D. Other than that, I kind of hang around AbTab a lot, so you see me in a bunch of other stuff. Other than that, love you guys. This is fun. It was awesome. I can't wait for future stuff. I kind of really want this to just become a campaign. Can we just do that? Can we just not have it be a short session, and can we just do a full campaign? Like, I'm down. I'm down for that. Just letting you know.
I'm making no promises right now.
Okay.
I'm not in a position to make any promises.
I know that. I know. But I just wanted to say, this has been great. This has been great fun to all the players that are involved. Karen, Alan, other Chad. Dude, just my life is made better by being able to play with you guys. It's just been great to be able to get into this world and get a little neon noir going on in this bitch. It's been great. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely, man. Thank you very much. And all of the channels that were mentioned, with the exception of Jeff's, are in the description of the video down below. You can follow the links and definitely go give them some love, give them some likes, all that kind of stuff, including the Dudes of Your podcast, which hopefully we can get around to shooting another episode of that.
I was about to say, I hope so. We missed. I think we missed.
I would like to. I missed it for sure. But without further ado, thank you guys so very, very much. And until next time, may your dice roll high and your snacks always be within reach.